Good morning, Long Island. This is Joe, man. And you're listening to 104.5 WRES FM radio. And this morning, we're going back into the ring with our host, Robbie Ryan.
Hey everyone, Robbie Ryan here, and today on the ring, we're here with a good old friend of mine, Xac Wild, better known as his stage name, Xac Vengeance. As long as I've known him, he's always been a bit of a wild child. I remember back in high school, he used to do swan dives and backflips off the bleachers in gym class, and now he wrestles professionally and Fight the World Pro Wrestling. So, Xac, how did you get into wrestling?
Well, I actually started out doing backyard wrestling with my older brothers when I was a little kid, the stuff they tell you not to do. And then eventually I started going to a lot of independent shows and heard them advertised about how, if you want to be a pro wrestler, you should come and join their school.
So, you went in for training, or you just jumped right into it?
Well, I actually started training with a lot of my friends who were at training schools, because training school was really expensive. It's about $200 a month. And then I started getting up some extra cash and started doing some independent training as far as with some former WWE guys such as the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase and Road Dogg from D-Generation X, who were actually really helpful as far as developing who I would become as a wrestler today.
All right, just from knowing you, I know one of your biggest influences is Jeff Hardy.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, growing up, Jeff Hardy was a huge inspiration to me. Everything from his personal style to actually the way he wrestled, which is actually how I got a lot of my own moves today. I just, started out doing a lot of his own signature moves and then modified them and eventually grew and got my own style.
So on that note, why don't you tell me about your signature move, the Stella Star Press?
Well, the Stella Star Press is actually derived from another move called the Shooting Star Press, which is a backflip going forward off the top rope. I've modified mine to where I can just run and do the backflip, so my momentum sends me forward onto my opponent. But I named it the Stella Star Press after my number one fan, Stella Lambros. She's this little 13-year-old girl who goes to all my shows, so I thought what better way to recognize your number one fan than to immortalize her by naming your finishing move after her.
She must have been real excited about that.
Oh, she loved it. The first time I actually called it the Stella Star Press, I was in a tag team match and Mason had hit his finishing move, the final nail in the coffin, and I looked around real quick, to the crowd, and I spotted her, so I pointed right at her, and I just turned around. I was like, Stella Star Press, and I ran, I hit the ropes, and I did it, and I got the 1, 2, 3 for it, and she was about 8 rows back, and I heard her scream over everyone. It was such a great feeling.
That must have felt pretty cool. Speaking of Mason, how did you end up becoming tag partners with him?
Well, me and Mason have known each other for about 7 years. We met in junior high, and I had invited him to one of my backyard wrestling shows, and he instantly fell in love. He decided that this is what he wanted to do, and he wanted to train. And so we decided that if we were going to train, we were going to train together and become a tag team. We've been a tag team ever since.
So I guess you really enjoy working with him.
I love working with him. He's more than just my tag team partner. He's like my brother. But don't get me wrong, we do get into our fights, though, and we figured out the best way to settle things is in the ring. Normally, it's a tables, ladders, and chairs match. I have a weird obsession with jumping off of ladders, and he has a strange obsession with hitting me in the head with chairs and slamming me through tables.
Having been put through so many tables and being hit in the head with so many chairs, you must have sustained some kind of injuries throughout the years.
Oh, most definitely. I've broken 26 different bones, including my neck. I've had 19 surgeries, 2 herniated discs in my lower back, and a permanently shattered tailbone.
And yet you keep going.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, all the injuries are worth it, I have a great determination for this business and a great love for it, and I refuse to let, little things like injuries really hold me back.
Little things like a broken neck.
Yeah, well, you know what? The broken neck actually kept me sidelined for about a year, but the doctors told me, I could possibly never wrestle again, but, being as hard-headed as I am, I couldn't do that. I had to get right back up and jump right back in the ring.
So, having been injured so much and having gone through all these experiences, I can tell you're obviously very determined. What do you see for yourself in the future?
Well, both me and Mason decided to give this a lot of thought, and we've come up with the fact that we want to go to TNA, a new up-and-coming company. It stands for Total Nonstop Action Wrestling, and that's really what they're all about. They're a rival company with WWE, and we feel that they're going to give us the best opportunities to be the best that we can.
Well, unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time, so when and where can we see your next match?
Well, Fight the World Pro Wrestling will be returning to the Center Island Sports Arena at 101 Union Avenue in Ronkonkoma this Saturday for our show Darkest Days. Doors will be opening up at 7 o'clock, but you better rush to get there early because tickets are selling out fast.
Well, it was great having you on the show.
It was great to be here. Thank you for having me.
And thanks for coming. And to our listeners, again, tune in tomorrow and we'll hear from Zac's tag partner, Mason Shadows.